Welcome to Remade in California. I'm Pat Pattison. This is a show about reinvention, inspiration, and transformation. Tools you can use if you are launching a new career or business or reinventing yourself. Our expert guests help us explore new ideas, educational programs, and job resources available to you right here in California. Our show today includes business experts who have stayed ahead of the technology curve to assure their skills keep them competitive. During this show, we'll meet Henderson Cooper, former CIA and LAPD officer, as he discusses the benefits of cyber education in the law enforcement community. Also this half hour, we'll talk with psychiatrist Dr. Gayane De Silva on why having to keep up with technology makes us all anxious and what we can do about it. We'll explore their journeys and how they remade themselves along the way. Our first guest says that staying educated on the tech curve in business is necessary to stay competitive. She is recognized attorney at Liner LLP. Robin Itkin, thank you for joining us. So, Robin, tell me why it's necessary for businesses to stay up to date on the tech curve.
It's very important and necessary. I like to say that in California, businesses change like the weather because technology changes every moment. So if you're not staying ahead of the curve, another business is, and competition is everything, and you're going to be outnumbered, you're going to be outbettered, and the idea is to be making money, and that's not going to happen if you don't stay up with the curve.
What's the best way to do that? Other than ask your 14-year-old to
Right. Right, which we all do, because they know everything better than we do. Exactly. I'm always having my phone fixed by our grandkids.
Yeah.
I think what's very important, whether it's a business or an individual in particular, is to three things really. One is to, if you're going to deal with technology, understand the products, and if you have a business as an individual, you have to have the right product. Fortune magazine came out with a statistic a few years ago that said the number one reason why businesses fail is they have the wrong products. So the idea is to understand the product and try to have a product that people want. Number two is you have to have the right team, the technology team and the IT to help you with what you want to do. And I think most importantly for an individual who's going to be doing this in business is you have to have a business plan. Right. You have to understand what it's going to cost, first to purchase, and then to upkeep it, because that is the most important thing.
What are some of the other pitfalls?
I think planning in a way that's really, really focused on what you're doing and what you want to do, because the technology of today is not the technology of tomorrow. So are you going to want to do something totally different? Are you going to want to keep the technology you have and change it and try to update it? And you need to understand that, and you have to understand what that's going to cost, because the costs are very, very different. And a lot of businesses fail, unfortunately, when these costs aren't planned for and they're much more than they thought. And it's hard to get loans at certain times if you haven't planned for that. So really to stay ahead of the curve is to really understand not only where you are now, but where you want to go tomorrow.
And knowing that the theme of our show is being remade, a lot of our viewers are people that are maybe trying to reinvent their career or they're looking to change jobs. It's kind of an obvious question, but in terms of being up to date personally with technology, how does that impact hireability?
There's so much competition amongst personnel as well and employees. It's the same thing really. And one of the great ways for people to stay involved and stay in the know is to attend things like community colleges, right, which are perfect for people to go and get up to date on statistics, what's the latest technology. Now a lot of people have to retool. Retooling is very important because things are changing so much. A community college is a perfect place to go and learn how to retool.
What happens when you fail to plan? What have you seen with your clients that you
Well, unfortunately, what I've seen is people not being able to keep up with their business and really having to look at alternatives. And a lot of times we've had to put them through something like a bankruptcy in order to try to give them a fresh start so they can start out more smart the next time and to plan. The worst thing of not planning is you either don't have the right money to do it, the amount that you need, or you don't have the up-to-date tools.
Well, talk about that a little bit, the money. How does that factor into your planning as a small business here in California?
Critical.
I mean, do people tend to just go out and buy new technology and overbuy?
Yes,
they
do. Yes, people do two things. They overbuy, they buy more than what they need.
Right.
and they expand too quickly.
A little bit of a keeping up with the Joneses.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Like the business down the road has this type of technology. We have to have that. Well,
Right.
that may not be the right thing for you. It's not going to work if it puts you out of business to buy it because you can't afford it. So really looking, maybe sitting down with a financial planner or an accountant, an attorney, to really see what you have and maybe what you do in steps and stages to get a loan and what you need to do, because a lot of times when you're going to get a loan, you have to pledge collateral for it. So that could be someone has now a lien on your assets, on your technology. And so you want to make sure you're able to pay the debts that you incur. And that's really an important part of this.
So a good piece of advice would be to find an expert such as yourself that can kind of
Yes.
come in and coach somebody before they go out and spend added money on
Yes,
technology.
I think that's wise, because I think people, sometimes they're focused on how do I make the most money, but they forget about a step to get there is not to spend money unwisely or not to spend money when you don't understand how you need to spend it.
Right.
And so I think that's very important. And to
Right.
talk with an expert would be, it doesn't take a lot of time or a lot of money, but I think it's important.
So Robin, thank you for joining us here on Remade in California.
Thank you.
If you want more information on Robin, go to robinitkin.com. Up next, why does learning new technology make us so anxious?